there we go.
We're live. Hi, everyone, and welcome to the Nerdy Up North podcast. It's a nerdy podcast hosted by Other Nerds. I am one of your hosts, Sam.
And I am the other host, Paul.
And joining us this week, we have the fangirl in Dallas herself, the busiest woman in pop culture, Taffeta Darling.
Hooray! Hello. Hi. Thank you so much. I'm so stoked to be doing this again. The first time was delightful, and I was like, if you guys ever want to talk about the fucking Batman, I'm in. So hooray!
Definitely. And you are, as Sammy said, the busiest lady in nerdism or fandom or whatever type of dumb there is, because it's taken us that long. It's taken us that long to try and get you back on, because we had such a blast last time, and I know Sammy was worried for this episode. She was good. How am I going to top that opening that I gave Taffeta last time?
I have never given anyone else the same kind of treatment like I did for you.
That's so appreciative. It's still one of my favorite things, and like that it doesn't need to be topped. That's perfect. Like I think whenever I die, just play that. You know, as my casket gets lowered into the flames for the
with my northern
furnace.
drawl. Oh yeah,
please. Well, like ideally, I kind of really want like a pirate. Like I want like my own like Viking funeral. So
all right.
They're illegal in the U.S., so you know maybe by this time they can just ship my body to y'all, and you can like
just get the Winchester.
Set you on fire.
Just go all supernatural style. They used to do it all the time on the Winchesters, but yeah.
With your blazing intro, you can use that again.
So,
and at the end, Taffeta Darling, and then flames.
Please, dude, shoot the arrows too. That'd be great. Like I have like 4 or 5 people in mind who are terrible arrow shooters, so I think it'll be a great thing for them to miss a few times.
If you ask me, I'm just throwing that arrow. Like there's no way that I am even trying. It's just getting thrown. There you go.
And not just like say thank you for coming on as a guest, but thank you for being such a huge supporter of us as well. I know, like say you've given us a lot of opportunities as well, and it's nice to say it face to face. A big thank you for everything that you've done for not just like say Nerdy Up North, but us personally as well. And it's nice to have an American friend every so often though. So again, big thank you.
Absolutely. Thank y'all for, being supportive of us too. And, for all the random things that I do. So no, it's mutual. I adore you guys. Like if you guys, ever need an American to come sit on your carpet like a cat for
I've told you the couch is free. You are more than welcome.
Definitely.
Then I'm definitely gonna be looking on that because that's one of my goals by the time I'm at least in the next year or so. I've never been to Europe, so or the UK.
Yes.
Which so I
you're in for a treat.
Definitely. But yes, so Sammy, do you want to get the disclaimer out the way? I know this is going to be a bit of a different, just because it's going to be our opinions on the bat, but it is our opinions after all.
That's true. So everything discussed in today's episode is our opinions and our opinions alone. If you'd like to discuss anything from today's episode, please come and join us on our Facebook page. You can join us on the Nerdy Up North Discord or the comment section where we can have an open discussion. But what we won't have is anyone coming for us and telling us our opinions are wrong, because we can all agree to disagree in fandom. So let's keep it fun, keep it kind, and keep the toxic behaviour out of her nerdism.
Very well said.
Thank you, Binks.
And Sammy having her own Selena Kyle moment there. So
I don't even know if anyone could see him like leaning over and just staring at us.
It's like the cat was saying, "Yes, you're doing well, Mummy. It's fine."
Oh, it was so cute though. Last week, I totally forgot to tell Brian that my cats do tend to walk around from time to time, and he just kept going, "A cat, another cat." I was like, "Oh, yeah, there you go.
That's me."
Get used to it.
What's the cat's name?
Yes.
So Batman. Let's talk about cats.
Yes, but that's the thing. Since I think we've floated the idea of getting Taffeta on to talk about Batman for a long time, and we've held off talking about the Dark Knight just till we could get Taffeta on, just because I love Batman. I've got I think I know some stuff about Batman, but Taffeta's knowledge is far above what I would even see, and her love of the bat, and not just Batman, just the Batman universe, is so inspirational. Because every time you do an Instagram live or a live thing where I manage to jump on, I think I kind of railroad the conversation just to have a little bit of conversation about Batman with you, because it's so fun and so interesting as well. But the one question I'm going to ask, I don't think I've asked you this: how did you get involved in the bat? Where was your first what was your first kind of times learning of Batman or seeing Batman? Was it the comics? Was it one of the shows? Or was it a movie?
As Batman 89,
Mm-hmm.
that was my first exposure to Batman. And by that time I was already reading like Archie comics and stuff. That was kind of my thing.
Mm-hmm.
But my brother, like I have an older brother who's 6 years older than me, and universe bless him, like I was annoying, and everything he did I wanted to do because I was the youngest child and I saw all the
Mm-hmm.
cool stuff he got to do. So I mimicked him immensely. And so
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I went to see Batman 89 with him,
Right.
and that was kind of cool. And I was like, oh, I love this character, but I was also kind of watching him, and he loved it. So I became obsessed with the Joker. I became obsessed with Jack Nicholson.
Right.
But then it was a few years later
Mm-hmm.
that Batman the Animated Series came out, and I was like,
Mm-hmm.
oh, okay, now it's a cartoon.
Mm-hmm.
And then a little bit after that, I was like, what the fuck? It's a comic? I mean, I didn't say that as a kid, but I was like,
Yeah.
there's books. There's books about Batman. And so it was kind of that. So,
Mhm.
Thank you, Tim Burton and Michael Keaton and Jack Nicholson and
Yeah.
everyone involved for that. And especially Michael Uslan, the big
Mm.
producer and has the rights to Batman, who actually took us away from kind of the campy stuff and gave us
Mm.
the universe that Tim Burton is. So yeah, sorry,
Yeah.
that's
No, no.
that was it.
I didn't
That
know
is
that.
that is one of the perfect answers though. So that's fine. Interesting you say it because I am known on this podcast and known within my friends for not being a fan of that Batman, which is strange because I love all things to do Batman, but I do like that Batman. I like Michael Keaton as a Batman. I like the thing, but I do have issues with Jack Nicholson's Joker. That is a personal choice, just because, as I said, I've backed up that argument to the hilt. But yes, Sammy, what was your first experience of Batman?
Ghostbusters.
Right?
Serious answer. I am a huge Ghostbusters fan. Everyone knows this about me. And I had a VHS of Ghostbusters 1 and 2 together. And in the middle of that, to separate the movies, was an episode of Batman 66.
Mm-hmm.
I used to watch
That's
it
wild.
constantly. Yeah, no, it's so random as well.
That's so cool.
It was a black and white one too.
Right.
Oh, it was
So
like the
it wasn't-
serial stuff. Yeah.
Yeah,
Ah.
it wasn't even in color. So that's how I discovered Batman. But in all honesty, I only watched the Batman movies that was not Nolan's
Mhm.
in the last. How long have we been doing this podcast? 4
4 years.
years.
Right.
4 years. In the last 4 years, yeah, that's a true story.
Mhm.
But I have been reading Batman since 2014.
Yes, and Sammy famously, when we went out on a shopping strip, wambling around Newcastle, going, which Batman comic should I pick? Which one should I take up with things? So I just instantly slapped her in the face with the long Halloween and went, "This is the one you need. This one will give you a feel of what is Batman type thing in my eyes." But it's interesting you're saying like the serial was that the. Because that wouldn't have been the 66. It was black and white. That would have been the serial with. It would either be Lewis Wilson or Robert Lowley, I think, who played Batman first.
No, it was Adam West.
Was it? All right.
It was definitely Adam
Wow.
West.
Okay.
But it was definitely in black and white as well. It was not coloured because I remember getting a shock seeing it in colour on Channel 4 for us UK people when Batman used to be on there.
Right.
That's so cool.
Mhm.
Yeah, I always remember that just and I could have fast forwarded it. I never did.
Right. No,
I always used to watch it, but
Yeah.
that tape got played to the death
Mhm.
to where it was no longer I could no longer actually play it anymore.
Yeah.
Thank God for DVDs.
See, I was lucky
Yeah.
because from a kid, my grandfather used to get me to watch all the Sunday serials. So we used to get the Land of the Giants, and one of the things that he used to make us watch was the Adam West, the 66 version, which I was obsessed with. Like, I was mesmerized by Caesar Romero's the Joker, like absolutely unbelievable. Like the colors, the pow, like just like the humor and everything. That kind of like brought me on. Then, as Taffeta like mentioned, I learned about the comics. The first comic I ever read was funny enough, because when they used to bring out a Batman movie, they used to bring out a graphic novel before they released the film. So you used to get
Yeah.
spoilers. So because there wasn't internet, so you used to just get spoilers through, like say, getting the graphic novel. And I remember getting the Batman, the Tim Burton Batman comic first, going, "Oh, this looks amazing. The colors great," and then tried to go and see the movie, and got denied because I was too young. because the age limit over in the UK, I think it was a 15. And I think I was only 12 when it was initially released. So I was like trying to get into the cinema, and unfortunately I got knocked back. So I had to wait for the the video release, which in the people always like laugh now because a movie comes out, it's out released streaming within 6 months. Or sort of 6 weeks or even a couple of weeks. We had to wait half a year or even a year for the release after it was hit the cinema. So waiting all that time to see the Batman and then seeing it, and again, not to do Jack Nicholson's Joker dirty, just wasn't the Joker I was expecting. It wasn't kind of because with Batman and the Joker's just there to cause chaos. That was always the joke I was kind of like the thing, but this was kind of like a mobster. This was like he wanted power and like and money and stuff like that. I was like, that's to me, I couldn't get my head around it. That's why I always had problems with that version of the joke. But coming back, watching Batman Returns with Danny DeVito as like the Penguin, to me, that's when I hit Batman like life. That was like my ultimate Batman experience when I got to watch that for the first time. That was like seeing it on the big screen. But going back before that the first Batman movie I ever saw was the Adam West Batman the movie. And I remember this so well because it used to be on TV and seeing all these different villains ganging up and doing it. But this is the one that gets the piss taken out of it so much just for two elements into it. One, the Bat Bomb, seeing Adam West running around with the Batman in his hands, and then the Bat Shark. Sorry, the shark with the shark repellent in his thing.
Yeah.
So seeing that like say and watching that on the big screen as well was an experience. But what about you? Like, other than seeing the Tim Burton, like, what was your feelings towards the Adam West Batman as well? Did you take that one to heart? I know you mentioned the campy Batman, but to me that was the fun Batman.
I was one of the daycares I went to. That was one of the shows that was on in the background, and it never connected for me. So that was like kind of, I guess, my first exposure to Batman. I think, but like I didn't watch it. Like the people, like the teachers, that was what was on like in their break room or whatever.
Yeah.
But for me, I never really got into the Adam West stuff, and I think it's because I went straight into the dark stuff. I'm a broody little girl. Like, I love color like everywhere else, but for me, like it was too bright. It was too much, I guess, after being exposed to like the brooding, moody stuff.
Yeah.
Like my Batman, he didn't dance. What the fuck?
The Batusi.
Yeah, there's no Batusi in my Batman universe. And I appreciate it now as an adult, but back then, whenever I was getting into that stuff, it wasn't anything. But I was also very punk rock and outwardly and inwardly, and so just the whole style of it just didn't appeal to me at the time. Now, I can watch it and I can enjoy it, but I'm very melancholy, and so at the time, anything that was like super colorful, unless it was like depressing colorful, I was in. But
I'm still there. Like I haven't quite gotten out of it yet. And I'm 42 this year.
Yeah, 45, so I get it. Yeah, 2 months, 45. So yeah, but I appreciate it, and but I've always been more of a detective.
Yes, there was not much detecting in that.
It was all partying and like girl chasing, which is totally cool. Like I would have loved to have been Poison Ivy or Batgirl or one of the cat women, but I just give me some detecting, give me some brutality. Let me see Batman doing some damage, and that just didn't appeal to me. So I didn't get into that until much later.
No, I'm surprised Sammy hasn't been a fan, because like I know he wasn't a regular character, but in the original Batman, there was one of Sammy's favorite people in the show, a certain Vincent Price.
I knew that.
Yeah,
I did know that. I only know that as of recent, because I have an unauthorized but yet slightly authorized Vincent Price autobiography.
Oh, cool.
He wrote little snippets for it, but I only know that recently. There's a lot of things that I'm learning about Vincent Price that I'm only known recently.
Yeah.
Batman just he wasn't He-Man basically growing up, so he wasn't my thing. But when I said I watched the Batman movies in the last 4 years, Batman Returns is one that I have seen since it came out.
Yes.
I have adored that film since it came out, but for some reason, watching the '89 one never appealed to us. I was like, I don't particularly care, and I didn't particularly care about the Schumacher, his ones. I was like, I don't particularly care about that. Now, I love them. Like, my whole Batman, my Batman has changed. He will forever and always be Val Kilmer, because of what it probably helped watching it with adult eyes. I don't think I would have gotten it as a kid. I'm too dumb. Like, if they're not chasing ghosts, then I'm not interested.
Yeah, because I think Batman Returns came out and it was such a shock to the system. I think because there wasn't many movies like that. As you said, how gothic, how dark, and it wasn't like trying to pretend to be anything else as well. And there was very much like a comic book feel to it as well. And the changes they made, like with the Selena Kyle character and how her origins changed, it went very thing. And then Oswald Cobblepot's origins as well. But I don't think they'll ever cast anyone like for the Penguin, even though Colin Farrell was unbelievable in the new show. But if you're going to go back to like the comic, the feel, Danny DeVito as a Penguin in Batman Returns is probably the pinnacle of movie casting that we've had in a long time.
Absolutely. Well, just that character in general, just the Penguin, like they did a really good job of like humanizing him and giving us some sympathy, because we do get that backstory. We do get, a little bit more about the tragedy, and rather than like this monster that is kind of like, developed like from a young age. And I think that's one of like the things that I liked about that movie. And I can look back and see the different portrayals of the different villains. You've got, a very performative, sexy, sensual, like Catwoman that comes out, and she's very empowered by, saying fuck you to the man, which is always a good thing. No offense.
That's fine. I'm not the boss in this, so don't worry.
But, there's a sympathy that I feel for Oswald at different times, but then he does a really good job of just like switching because he's a fucking villain, and and to play off the Colin Farrell thing, there's that as well, because that series was so magically done. That character, the way they incorporated him into the Reeves Batman movie as like kind of this like bumbling guy, and that's not what we have seen previously, and he is very smart, and I just love how it does have its own kind of arc from Batman Returns into the Reeves stuff with the Penguin.
No, it's definitely just to talk about like say the Matt Reeves Penguin that we got, because it is quite recent. Like it feels like only yesterday, but it was like a few months ago when we got that show that came out, and it had no fucking right being as good as it was. Like let's be honest, I was expecting something decent, but it was on the level of The Sopranos for TV show. Like, because
So
Sopranos is up here for me, like TV, like watching. But I've rivaled it. Like, I was engrossed from week and week. I didn't know where it was going to go. It shocked me in places. That ending as well. Like, again, spoilers if you haven't watched it. Like, that came out of nowhere.
Yes.
But
like, yes.
What?
Sorry. It's like, oh my God, yes.
Guardians 2.
But like
I just get really excited because they could have gone a different way with that, which you expect it to go, but they didn't, and I was like, fuck yeah, that's what you do. You keep that shit going.
Yeah.
So good. I got goosebumps all over my legs thinking about that. Just so you know.
It's just like when a show lands and knows not to overplay it, not to overstay its welcome, because if like with certain shows, like especially like not to say American TV shows, they go for like 24 episodes or 22 arcs. This felt nicely paced. It lived in that world that was like say starting to build with like say the Batman, which I loved. That I loved the creation that it was, and that Gotham felt like a Gotham that like was very real and like I remembered that Gotham from the comics as well. That's why it kind of like felt homely to me. But the difference playing out, giving these side characters so much more. And like we've met some of these, we met Sophia from the comics, like say the Long Halloween and as such, and like the two rival families, you know, there was that tension, but to see it played out the way it was just like, this is so fucking good. And having Oswald playing it kind of like between them two, and just what an odious character, because just when they start thinking, oh, I'm starting to feel something, I'm starting to kind of like get a reaction from him as well, they change it up
Yeah.
and they kind of like bring you back and you think, oh yes, you are the most hideous and horriblest human being that is in this world. And it just makes you feel like this is how you do get around or get something in Gotham, in the city. This is why the city needs someone like Batman to dress like a bat, like a vigilante, to try and not, like, as we found out at the end of like Matt Reeves's thing, not to fear but for hope.
Yeah.
It was just so interesting, and I know, like, getting fucked the spoilers, when he killed the guy that's been helping him at that end, it just broke your heart even more, and it kind of left
What,
you.
the kid?
Yep.
Yeah,
Oh!
I mean, exactly. That's where you have this like sympathy for the patient, and then he reminds you again he's a fucking villain, and you find out he had actually killed his brothers.
Yes.
I only watched one episode. I have never. There's been times where Paul has texted us and said, "You've got to watch this. It's really good," and he'll just leave it at that because he knows what I'm like. I will say yes and not do. This one, he pushed and pushed and pushed and kept going. You have to watch it. It's absolutely brilliant. I think I watched the first maybe 2 episodes, and it was really good. It's just me and my, can't concentrate on something for too long. I didn't get fixated on it, so I didn't continue watching it. Now I feel like too much time's passed, and I'm like, I'll probably go back to it in a few years' time. That's just
Well,
me,
the second
Oliver.
season's going to be coming out soon, so it'll be a perfect time to catch up if you ever have a day to binge.
I have many days to binge. That's my problem.
I get that.
Going back as well. Sorry, what were you saying?
I was like, yeah, just to kind of piggyback on what you're saying, it's a very beautifully done series. It's cinema. It's very art house, and it's very good at bringing in the complex like drama that is Gotham. Because I think one thing that it does right, or that Matt Reeves does right, is that Gotham is its own character. Like we have all these side characters, but Gotham, the city itself, is like a character. It's a main character that gets kind of like forgotten about. But when you can incorporate Gotham itself, and not just the people, but like its look and its beauty and its darkness and its grossness, and it's like, the stylized territory of everything, from the Waynes to, where the Falcones are, and Falcones, right? Falcones. It's just beautifully done. It's art house. It's cinema. I love it.
Yes, and it's one of those shows where, because Batman like has a presence. Batman, like you mentioned, Batman, everyone knows. Doing a show in that universe that I think it needs to have Batman to have life. By even halfway through the first episode, you don't even remember what Batman's name is. It
I
takes
thought
that aspect out where you think, I'm watching a Batman show that doesn't need Batman, and that's so crafted and so beautifully done. And as you said, with Gotham
Strong.
itself, it breathes and stuff. And how they incorporated it into the Batman movie as well was so cleverly done, and made you think about, because we always make jokes like, oh, when superheroes have a fight, the destruction and stuff they cause, it's kind of just like swept away and like, ooh, nothing else happens. Like,
how much did that cost the city?
there's a major terrorist act that went on with the Riddler in the Batman where he flooded half the city. And normal, like if it went to Batman 2, it would be like, the city's cleaned up. It showed you the ramifications and the effects that it had, not just on Gotham, but the public and the people, and like how they lived after that. That
That's
again was
smart.
such a strong message and such a beautifully way of like continuation that story. I was just like, wow, it left me just like, as you said, with goosebumps just by thinking. And it will be something that normally you'll watch a show like that, you'll think, oh, I'll watch it once and I might not go back to it. That will go back through a watch along. Like I'll probably even watch the Batman, then instead of going the Batman. And watch the show afterwards, just because it's that great of a continuation.
Yeah, I'm really hoping we get like a Batman's No Man Land, because they've essentially already established that Gotham is flooded and it's not inhabitable. And so it should essentially kind of be
Mm-hmm.
If everything that we saw in that movie actually happens and stuff like that, it's going to be a while, and that's kind of
Mm-hmm.
where I was left with it. I was like, oh my god, this is a great setup for No Man's Land, and that's essentially what happens. Is that the
Mm-hmm.
United States just like puts them to the side and then leaves them abandoned, and like there's even less lawlessness,
Yes.
even more lawlessness,
Yeah.
and so like all the different villains just start taking over, and we've already got the Penguin, we've already got the Joker in
Mm-hmm.
Arkham.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, so what happens to Arkham? Like, if everything is flooded,
Yeah.
is it not to be assumed that that's going to happen to Arkham? So you're going to have Black Mask and Two-Face and all these other people come out, and maybe we start seeing Huntress. I don't know. Like, I'm just really excited. Like, it was just that destruction of the end of that movie leaves so much open, and with Matt Reeves at the base of it and helm or whatever, I'm stoked because I trust in him more than I have a lot of the other Batman people, and I really, really hope he gives us Mr. Freeze. Like, I know that's not really like super tied into that, but in the universe he's built, that's people ask me, what would you like to see? I want Mr. Freeze. Like,
that's the one that they have hinted at.
Interesting.
And again, I did mention this to Brian last week. There has been rumours kicking about in the last 2 weeks that Matt Reeves has walked away. I don't know if yeah, the only, like I said, I've heard whisperings because I know with the James Gunn DC universe this was supposed to be like an Elseworld where it's going to be separate, but apparently he loved the Penguin so much, the show, that he's doing his best to incorporate that Batman universe into his DC. But if from looking at the Superman trailer this week, that world is a different yeah. So
would it not work with James Gunn's? Could he not incorporate it?
It could, but
it could if he does the Elseworld things to where it gets rebuilt, and then we have just like this dark leftover Gotham, like, or the No Man's Land to where it does some sort of incorporation. But I guess if Gunn really wanted to have that juxtaposition, like he has a very, very bright, colorful Superman, and this Batman is so dark and deep that actually would really work to have this amazing world's finest if you put them together. So my first thought is like, no, it wouldn't work. But now I'm like going through it in my head, I'm like, actually, it would fucking work, because that is such a stark contrast between those two characters that I think having those different worlds, even if they are in the same, planet or whatever, because that's how the comics are. Like, you can go to Metropolis and everything's cheery and it seems like normal sometimes, but at least it's a functioning society with the sun. But with Gotham, like, there's not.
Where's the sun?
It's just dark. All those towers are blocking the sun, and they're just deteriorating. So I think maybe, I don't know. That's another thesis for another time.
Just out of interest, who would you have as Freeze? As in a casting now?
Would it be weird to say Ralph? Was it like Ralph Fiennes?
No,
it would not.
I was actually thinking of a British actor as well, Mark Strong.
I do like Mark Strong. Like, I feel like those. He was a Red Lantern, and he was in Kick-Ass 2?
He was in Kick-Ass 2. He was in he does all the Guy Ritchie movies. He was.
Oh my god! Yes. Oh, sorry, my phone's just shouted. Oh my god! I pressed the voice note thing. Yes, the Kingsman.
Yeah.
Oh, that would be interesting.
But
the Ralph Fiennes ones.
Yeah.
He's got that. There's a lot of romance and a lot of heartbreak and a lot of ache and pain behind Freeze. Like, even though that wasn't his actual comic origin, like the adaptation that he got in Batman the Animated Series.
Heart of Ice. Yeah.
Oh, sorry. This is where you get to start breaking down Batman, and she gets real emotional because these characters mean a lot. But that particular episode redefined him, and that is such a poignant, beautiful, like, again, sympathizing with the villain, because at the end of the day, he does everything for love. It's all for his, fucking precious Nora. I mean, like, God, can I have that, please? And I feel like there has to be that sort of romance behind that character, but also like torment and like aid and like wisdom. And I don't know, like, I feel like Ralph Fiennes is in that air right now. Or Liam Neeson, but I feel like he's doing everything right now, so he's just. I think
Neeson's too edgy. there's too much of an edge to him, but with Ralph Fiennes, there's such a
There's a bit of a
softness.
softness, yeah.
There's
He's
there's a
very
huge softness,
reserved.
but he can
He's a
can
good
be
villain.
oh god,
Red
he can be a
Dragon?
right.
Oh my god. Red
Schindler's
Dragon was...
List. He was a
Yeah.
nasty bastard.
I know, but does it take hard to be in that type of films, to be fair?
But also he can also soften it down. There is a lot of roles that he can kind of he can switch it. He can even in Schindler's List to a degree. There was some kind of it wasn't the best softness, but it was the best we were going to get out of that person. I like that actually. Mark Strong's good visually.
Yeah.
I like the look of him. And but he's very English. He's way too English.
Yeah, I think and Fiennes is too, but again, there's that soft subtleness because one of my favorite movies is In Bruges, and like he is like and I'm just gonna say he's like what is the other character's like but you're still a cunt
yeah you can say that word, don't worry. It's allowed.
We're English, we don't mind.
Okay, like I don't either, like it does not offend me.
It's my mother's favorite word, by the way, so
I think of it as another word as like a jackass or a dickhead.
Yeah.
That's my mom. Yeah, that's my mom. My mom's the same.
But he's got that fire behind him to where he can be reserved and have a human conversation. But then all of a sudden that fire clicks in, and I think that's what we would need for Mr. Freeze is to be able to have that conversation with whoever he's talking to and have that calmness, and then also have that trigger to fucking flip, because that's exactly what it does. And I don't know, but I really hope that we get that, and I would be sad if we didn't have Matt Reeves doing that. And for some reason, if that didn't work out, I think he would probably be one of the few that could adapt Heart of Ice. But then also, a lot of the Batman has been picked out from Sean Gordon Murphy's White Knight universe as well. And his take on Mr. Freeze that he did with Klaus Janson. Oh my God. Like that cover is just like the epitome of like, I'm holding.
Yeah.
Oh, actually. It may be right over here.
You're trying to summon it now.
I was going to say all my Batman comics are in the loft. That's not on the wall at the moment. But yeah, it's interesting what you mentioned Heart of Ice though as well. That is I understand. I get what you're saying. To me, it felt like a hard reset on the Freeze character, and like it was almost like this is going to be like unofficial origin stories going forward, because. Again, that cartoon had no fucking right to be as hard or as good as it was. I remember watching it as a kid, being freaked out for two reasons. Because the censors in the UK must have thought it was a cartoon. They must have watched it. It was the first cartoon I saw on children's TV with a swear word in. Because they told one of the goons told Batman to piss off. I was like,
oh my God.
I was getting this is 9 o'clock on Saturday morning on UK TV.
You'd have been buzzing as a kid hearing that.
Kid, what did I say about but yeah, I Heart of Ice. We did when me and Jake were doing a Toons episode, we were talking about cartoons, and that was one of the ones that we kind of broke down and talked about. It's just, as you said, it's cinema. It's pure cinema at its best. But seeing that done live action, it would be like a bit special. But again, trying to bring it into the Matt Reeves world as well, that would be interesting, because I love like everything to do with the Matt Reeves film, like Robert Pattinson Batman. I absolutely adore. It's like
so good.
I liked it. Like I didn't watch the vampire movie, the Twilight.
I love the fact that you called it the vampire movie. Oh, that was good.
Yeah.
I didn't watch that, but I have seen him in a lot of other stuff. And as soon as I saw him in The Lighthouse, I was like,
yeah.
Oh. But then what was the other one? Like not the Jim's movie, but the other movie that Happy Fast. Shoot, I'll look it up in a second. But yeah, where he's just like all over the place. So I went and I watched his movies because I was like, okay, who's gonna be my Batman? And I was just like, this guy's got it. And he gave us the young stepping into my moody, broody, telling Alfred essentially to go fuck himself. Like when I saw like how he treated Alfred, I was like, oh, that's amazing. I mean, like, why wouldn't he? Like, and that's one thing that I don't think we see enough of is the interaction between young Bruce, except for he's baby Bruce, like oh young Master Bruce, but we've missed out on that year 1 and year 2 where Bruce is essentially trying to figure out who he is. He's come back and he's trying to and he doesn't have that connection with Alfred, but Alfred still kind of thinks that. So I really liked you know, Alfred has it. It's unconditional with Alfred. And so I
Yeah.
really liked how they, you know, they had that display of, you know, that turmoil that they did have to go through before, because it wasn't just like, hey, here's a parade, Bruce is back, everything's cool. No, he fucking abandoned Gotham. You know, like he had to come back and face the music, and Alfred's the one to play it for him, and I just really love I love them so much. Oh, I love it.
And as you said, it's like watching Batman make mistakes or not quite get it right first time, because there's so often that everyone thinks, oh, he's the perfect thing. Like, he is the greatest detective if you go by the comics, but still, he had to learn his trade. He had to learn where he was coming from. And again, he's thrown in against people that probably is above him, like knowledge-wise, or know how things work. And he's kind of like thinking as he goes, and he's like, oh, like that inner monologue at the start where it's kind of like a little bit like film noir, a little bit Blade Runner at times, where you hear him talking about like fear and how like people in Gotham's scared of him and stuff like that, and how he meets them thugs and the brutality. And again, this is where I think a lot of people make mistakes when it comes to the Batman films. They don't make Batman as brutal as he is. This is a martial artist who's trained every single forms of thing. He's taking people down and literally fighting people with pure rage, because seeing these parents gunned down in front of him has left that imprint on him. So he's kind of, I know it sounds bad, but he's unleashing that rage, but again, he knows where the line is. And I thought this film kind of towed the line perfectly. And I know I banged on about it so much. It gave us that Batmobile. Like, oh my God.
That Batmobile.
Just that
Talk
noise.
About, I needed like 3 or 4 cigarettes after that. I was like, are you fucking kidding me? Like, whenever it came out of the corner and it's growling and it's a charger. And like one of my favorite absolute all-time covers, I'm going to derail just for a second to tie into the Batman number 20, which is the first appearance of that revamped, amazing Dick Springer Batmobile with like, it had the Batarang on the front with a shield. Oh my God. And I remember the first time seeing that Batmobile like in print, I was like, oh my God, this is my dream car. And then seeing something
seeing Taffeta barging down the street.
I absolutely would. I'd be like, I think I would definitely do that. But seeing that in the movie and that growling and then just kind of seeing all you just see are just like Bruce's eyes. And I was like, oh my God, it's about to get real. And it turned into this brutal chase scene, which was like very mafia, very noir. And like Penguin's thinking he's just going to do whatever. And he fucking comes through those flames. Oh my God. I squealed. I was like,
but they didn't just finish it there though as well. I love the aspect where you do the camera work where it shows you like upside down, like Penguin's viewpoint, and seeing that imposing, like how fucking scary would that have been? Seeing a man dressed like that just towering above you, and you having no control. Like, I don't care how badass or how much you've seen, that would have just been like, am I in hell? Have I passed away? What the fuck is going on now? But yeah, like everything about that film just like resonated with me. And it's interesting you say no man's land, because that was the feel I was getting where I was coming from. But this was, to me, as close to year one, like as we've had in Batman, like say in the films as well. I know they touched that on the Batman '89, where they like got certain looks, and that was kind of like where I was driven from. I know like the Nolan verse Batman, that was very much like a little, tried to like a very quite like Frank Miller style as well. But this, to me, I love the Nolan ones. I think that was done well. I know Sam has issues with certain Batman with the Nolan ones, but
is it Bane?
No, funny enough, she doesn't like the Dark Knight.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but we
can all be perfect.
Yeah,
she's 99% perfect.
But yeah.
Mind the Dark Knight. Frank Miller's Dark Knight is probably one of my favorite Batman comics of all time.
No, I'm talking about the movie The Dark Knight.
Oh yeah, I can't stand it. Yeah, it's terrible. Sorry. Sorry, I forgot what the name of it was there for a second. I can't stand Heath Ledger as a Joker. Can't. Don't get away with it. Don't get it. Don't understand it. We'll never understand it. I'm very sorry that he's no longer with us, but yeah, I don't get it. Sorry. I totally forgot what that movie was called. I was like, hang on a minute. I actually, I do like The Dark Knight. I like Frank Miller's Dark. That one.
Yeah, no, that Frank Miller's Dark Knight, that's a completely different tone. And
I love that comic.
Yeah,
I think I've owned it like several times over.
And,
Well, they
and I,
did pull a lot from year one with the movies, and it does have a little bit to do with, since Miller wrote that one, it still ties into the Dark Knight because it develops that relationship of Gordon and Batman. We actually see like the steps that kind of happened, and it is, of course, I absolutely love a gritty noir. That's my jam. Like Batman and the Shadow are like one of the same for me. Like I also have a big fandom of the Shadow. I don't put it out there as much as Batman, but all this is Batman, and then all this over here is the Shadow and my other noir stuff, like the Green Hornet here. But most of it is the Shadow because I feel like anyways, they're the same.
Sorry. So
aesthetically, that movie is beautiful. Like, it is beautiful. There's certain aspects of it that I cannot get away with. I do, however, love Batman Begins. For somebody who wants to be introduced to Batman, I feel like that's kind of a good gateway. But that's just, I'm not. I have learned in the how long we've been talking. I am not as good as my knowledge of Batman than used to. So it's kind of like a good gateway, and it was almost my gateway as well. I remember my husband. How long have we been together now? 18 years. 18 years ago, he introduced me because he is a huge comic books is his thing, and superheroes is his thing. He introduced me to Batman Begins. That's where it kind of starts. I knew Batman Returns. I didn't know Batman. Like, I didn't know what he was about until he introduced me to that movie. So I'll give Christopher Nolan that one. I like it.
Like, I do love the Nolan verse. Like, even like Taffeta mentioned, I love Bane. I love Tom Hardy's Bane. I love that they changed the story, because it would have been difficult if they did do Bane's full origin, because I don't think that would have translated well on the big screen. Like, for a child born in prison due to his mum being attacked and stuff, it just doesn't really
it's a
ring
bit
well.
grim, isn't it?
Yeah.
That story is really hardcore. They did do a good job, and I do like Bane. I just want to insert, like, the only thing that I was frustrated with Bane is I couldn't understand him. Like, I have
it's
issues
just
with hearing
that's just Tom
sometimes,
Hardy.
but I can understand him in other stuff.
Can you?
Which is different. Like,
Oh,
I don't know. I
can't.
felt like it was just so muffled. And maybe it's one of those movies I need to actually hear with like headphones. But there were times where even with captions, I was like, he didn't say that. Okay.
I totally understand that. Tom Hardy is, for me, I've started to appreciate him more, and I think it's since Peaky Blinders. Because I could understand him. I could actually pick out and like I could hear the words he was saying. But every Tom Hardy movie is either a grunter or a mumbler.
I can do
there
it.
was
The
no
grunts.
in between.
The mumbles. But see, I've seen him like in commercials, and I've seen him do like, what is it, like his different reels and stuff where I can understand what he's saying. So I don't know, maybe if it's just the directors, because at the end of the day, like, you're giving the directors what they want. So I never really blamed it on him, like, oh, he sucks, because I can understand him elsewhere. I felt like they just went a little too heavy for people who stood in front rows of concerts for like 20 years of their life.
I think
That's how I'm deaf.
It's like, I have, like, I remember leaving concerts and I'd be like, oh, everyone sounds like Minnie Mouse. That's not good, Taff.
No.
Your ears are fucked up.
No, I did the same 21 years ago. I stood in front of an amplifier for 6 hours, and I've never been able to hear the same again. I'm deaf in one ear because of it.
I noticed that I thought for sure my hearing would be the first to go. It's actually my sight, but eventually I will not hear as well as I would like to. And I recognize that as I get older, and I'm like, but man, those concerts were worth it.
Yeah.
I saw so many great shows front and center. Anyways, yes.
No, it's fine. It is interesting what you're saying about his accent, because I know, like, purposely Tom Hardy was, like, he's come in and said he was asked to do a colonial British accent. That's where I think the dialect and everything. Yeah, it was very much like oh yes, like if you think about League of Gentlemen, like Alan Quatermain would have been using type thing, a very like old fashioned type.
I get what you mean.
He just said Alan Quatermain. I love a good literature reference.
Sorry. I can say I'm showing me my nerd side out there, but yeah. But I'm a big Alan Moore fan now as well, so that's fine. That's where that comes from.
Yeah.
But it's like all like I'm an old hunter, like old fashioned, like that, like almost like it'd been overseas, like in South Africa for a certain while. That's like the kind of accent that they were going for.
Now you've said that, I kind of get it. Like, now you've said it, but at the time
it is a Sean
just
Connery.
Yeah.
Oh my God, yeah, it is, isn't it?
Yeah. We just solved it. He was really just trying to channel Sean
Sean
Connery in
Connery
League of Extraordinary Gentlemen.
And he really failed.
Yeah. I think it was a choice to make him a mercenary, but from where he was, that accent doesn't kind of like hit home. And I think a lot of the lines that he delivered were great, but because he was doing that accent, it kind of like went wah wah. But I still love it. Like it's still one of the best Batman fights. I done a reel for it this week. Just
fun.
like with just took a little bit few things out, but when
It breaks his back.
yeah, like I love that storyline. Like I can't really remember the Nightfall, wasn't it? Nightfall, the comic.
Yeah, no, it's Nightfall. Say
Yep.
like, yeah, that led to him getting his back broken.
Yeah,
and like,
and Paul I can't remember his name now. Like as a replacement Batman for a while, but
Oh my
Jean
gosh,
Paul.
I've read
John
them.
Paul,
It's
John Paul, that's the one.
Azrael.
Azrael. Oh, I didn't like Azrael, but that again, I could just go on rants for that. But yeah, but
I could argue the other side, so we should do that. Because as much as I love Bruce, after really quickly, because we do with the art, so we used to get a lot of the the Azrael Batman art, and so I had to go, and so I actually found myself reading a lot more of his stuff as the Bat, and I was just like, you know what, he did the shit Bruce would not do. Cool. And that's where my love for him came in. Like, he was not Bruce Batman, he was his own Batman, and he took the mantle. Very much like Jason Todd, they were like, you know what, we're gonna take everything we fucking know and we're gonna make it our own, and I can appreciate that. But
yeah,
Bruce Wayne forever.
just to make it clear.
But like say when they depicted that in the film in the movie, that's how in my head, if we're watching the panel by panel, that how Batman would get beaten, and like the lines he was using as well, saying victory has made you soft. It's like, oh fuck, he is victory has made you soft, Batman.
I'm not even going to attempt it.
How can you be serious when you're filming that?
But the thing is, though, to him, he would have been taking it so serious. Like this is Hardy all over. When he did Star Trek Nemesis, he thought that's it. He was going to break Hollywood with that movie, and he put everything into it, and because it flopped, he kind of like went, oh, okay, that's not it. Then when Bane comes around, it's the same scenario. I'm gonna put everything into this character, and once again, he got the piss taken out of him because he goes too far. If he strips it back just a bit, it will work in his favor, and he did that perfectly in Peaky Blinders. He played a very character, like a very flamboyant character, but he kind of still managed to strip it back to where, one, you could understand him, two, you actually liked him, and three, he wasn't playing a historical person, because Tom Hardy is known for playing historical figures, and that's the only thing he's ever been good at. Sorry, I could go on it.
You'll get the Tom Hardy fans after you again, so don't worry.
But they've already came for me once in my time. I don't particularly fancy that again.
I had fun with Venom.
Yeah.
Like, I had a lot of fun with Venom.
Yeah, I think like that's just kind of like the juxtaposition. Like, there is like, I guess the whole point of what I say is it's what you can get from your actor as a director.
Yeah,
you put him in a situation like Venom, like that was fun. But yeah,
because he was stripped back. He was stripped back. He was relaxed. He didn't have to. He feels when he plays a character of magnitude, he has to. It's got to be all or nothing.
I don't know. I think he did a good like New York accent, Eddie Brooks. Like you see, I think he did all right. But I'll give him his due.
No. I mean, not like the accent wise, and that it all worked for him. But he did. There was not a great deal of effort that went into it. Not with the. It probably comes down to costume as well. Like he was dressed in Nemesis as Jean-Luc Picard. He's got the big vein thing on. He's kind of acting up to the costume that he's. That's how I see it anyway. I was never Tom Hardy's biggest fan. I've learned to appreciate him a lot more as I'm growing up.
But I do think that one thing that probably did lose, as I said, the Dark Knight Rises, is because they did, like, funny enough, you said it, they didn't use Venom as his power source, as like to help build him up.
Oh, the green stuff.
Yeah,
his super steroids.
Super steroids. That was kind of like out of interest. I know we got it in. Was it Batman and Robin? Batman and Robin.
Yeah.
We got that. We got that bit in there. But I still would have been interested. Like they used the excuse that his mask was to take the pain or to mask to help with that aspect, but they didn't really use it like the Bane mask as we've had in the past.
It was just a tool. It was just a thing. It was nothing. Like
Yeah.
you could have totally, your conversation never went to that.
Yeah.
The look of him did look fantastic. But when I picture Bane, I'm not picturing the one from that. It's from the video game.
Right.
That's my image of Bane.
All right.
So,
That from Arkham Knight.
yeah. So when I'm looking at Tom Hardy, I'm like, okay.
So I'm going to ask the question now. I did post it on Instagram earlier. Who is your favorite Batman?
Okay, so
let's see how Taffeta dissects this one.
Yes.
Up until the Batman, it was Michael Keaton, but I was blown away by Pattinson that I absolutely love. I love his Batman, and they are two very different worlds, and I think both can be true, that Michael Keaton is the best Batman and that Robert Pattinson is the Batman. So, and here's the thing, like if the Flash hadn't come out and we hadn't got the old man Bruce in a different world, and we didn't get that not redemption, but that reminder that Michael Keaton is still really badass as a Batman.
Yeah.
Like Pattinson would be like, no question, I love Pattinson, but I hold them both in an equal balance, which is the best I can do, because I absolutely love Michael Keaton because of the nostalgia. But when I look back at those movies, they do not compare it all to the storytelling and the origin that we get with the Batman, because it's much better. It's better writing. It's better direction. It's a better interpretation and incorporation of Gotham. But Michael Keaton is just so badass as a young Batman and as an old Batman. So I'm really sad we may not actually get him in the Reeves universe, because I would love to see him in even a more dark, gritty world, a different world, a more cinematic world. Because I think
it'd be interesting.
I think if we ever got Terry, the Batman Beyond, I think he would be a good old man Bruce.
He's perfect for that now. I love the fact that during like the Spider-Man movie, when he was facing off Tom Holland versus the Vulture, he kept on whispering in his ear, "I'm Batman."
It's been a while since I've seen that one. Like his I don't know, his aura is amazing, but I feel like it's just hard for me to choose when it comes to.
It's a good answer though. Like you definitely give two sides of it.
It's one of those things, and it's just like picking a favorite Batman story or comic or
picking your favorite child.
Like I can go off into many comics and stuff, but I think the favorite artist for me, I think, still kind of goes back to Jim Aparo with Carmine Infantino, like the older stuff. The Many Deaths of Batman is one of my favorite comics ever, and that's Jim Aparo's run on that was a good take, and I like that there's a whole issue to where there's not even any written text or conversations. It's just Jim Aparo's art that tells that issue, and you just get to flip through it, and it's just so beautiful without the text. Text is good, but I feel like The Many Deaths of Batman is probably my favorite.
Put that on the list.
Jim Aparo. Like I like Neil Adams. I like the Jim Lee stuff. I like the modern day Patrick Gleason doing stuff with Peter Tomasi is like one of my favorite writers for Batman in the modern time. So and
this is where my jealousy goes.
That's a lot of names.
This is where my jealousy goes into overdrive, because I know, like with your line of work, you get to see or be around some just history of, like, say, this character as well. I know you've posted images where you've been next to like original artwork and like original prints. It's like my brain just melts. But I don't
know a lot about a lot, but
I know the Batman.
And if you ask for my favorite Batman, I will give you my favorite voice is Kevin Conroy.
Yeah.
Although there are
all
some
the
really good
way.
ones out there. Jason Eccles did a really good job as
He
well. But
did.
Kevin Conroy, so I'll give you my favorite Batman in any universe and break it down a million ways wise.
No, don't worry. I'm not going to like pin you down and say no. You can only name one. That would be mean. But
I
no.
don't think that can work with
No.
with Batman and the history and the time he's been around. I don't think you can. It's so unfair to say name your favorite Batman. Just pick one.
But that's the thing though, because you can talk about so many different elements. It's like because Batman is such a complex character. It's like who's your there's people who play Batman great, but they weren't so great as Bruce Wayne. But then there's amazing Bruce Waynes and not so great Batman. Or there's great Batman and they're not in great movies or great like episodes. Like George Clooney is absolutely outrageously good as Batman and as Bruce Wayne. He's probably one of the more complete double acts that you'll get. Who's just in that movie. That's the bad.
That's the problem.
And the movie wasn't that bad. It was just choices that were made.
Choices.
But if you had that in, like again, Clooney gets a lot of like shit, but when you watch it back, he
Not
has
bad.
one of the best looks. He as Bruce Wayne, he has the smarminess, he has the intelligence. That like I say, not like a younger Bruce, but an older Bruce probably could have had. Michael Keaton has the crazy factor, the interesting. Like Bale.
I gotta throw in Batfleck. We can't forget Batfleck. I feel
no.
like
I have no
liked him.
issue. I really liked him when he got
Yeah.
Me too. There should have been more. There was so much more to develop with him.
Yeah.
When they announced that it was going to be Ben Affleck, I was like, fuck yeah. Like, why not?
Same.
Like, why not?
And I got excited for him as well, though, because when you hear his interviews and stuff, like when he done Daredevil, he said, "I'm doing Daredevil because they'll never let me do Batman."
Yeah. that was the reason. He was like, I'm never going to be able to do Frank Miller's Batman because that's all he wanted to do. And he was like, but I can do Frank Miller's Daredevil. They're letting us do that. So that's why he went off and did it. But I was so bummed out for him when he was like, oh, well, that's it. His Batman journey is over.
But and I will stand and fight for Batman versus Superman. I think that is a top tier superhero film. Like I've got no problems with it.
I like the Snyder stuff. I liked the was it the not the Avengers,
the Justice League.
Very wrong universe.
The formation, my brain's farting. I was like, the formation, the super group. What is it called?
The Super Friends.
Yeah. Like I thought that was. I thought it was fun. I thought it was fun for what it was. I loved the interaction. I loved all the characters. I loved how they came together because I think it's very difficult to put all those characters together, and they did the best they could with what they could with who they were working with, despite all the flaws.
Yeah.
But yeah, I love Cavill and Batfleck, and I really wish we could have had just one more, like a World's Finest with them. You know, like even if it was like. I don't know. World's Finest, the comic itself, like when it first came out, it was Batman Jr. and like Superman Jr. That was their names. It was ridiculous. So there's an opportunity to have like a World's, Finest with the young people. If we ever get a Damian, because we haven't even talked about my boy Damian.
Oh, yes. God.
I love him. I love him so much.
So Damian Wayne for me is Teen Titans, and he annoyed the shit out of us in it. So.
I love the interaction with Damian and Bruce because it's such a petulant child. Like the way he's been trained as well. Because if you think about it, he's a kid that's been living and breathing the League of Shadows.
He's a test tube baby.
Yep.
A petri dish baby.
And he knows it, and he holds it against everyone. He's just. Teen Titans, because I love the cartoon Teen Titans, and I didn't mind the live action one. I thought it was good. It just we kind of dropped off. It got a bit boring and samey, but Damian always is a whiny little bitch.
You got to find the people who eventually like evolve him, like with the when he became like the Robin and Batman with Robin, and he's playing off a Nightwing, like that whole like 2008 2009 run is where he kind of grows and he becomes like this person. And then they have this whole like death of Robin, the Requiem for Damian, where like Batman finds himself without and without. Oh, goosebumps! That's one of the most heartbreaking.
Who wrote that?
That's Peter Tomasi as well, I believe, because I believe him and Patrick Gleason, like they had the whole caboodle of it. So it's like they
Yeah.
were doing the Super Sons and they were doing the Batman and Robin for a little
It
bit.
was such a thing though, wasn't it? Like that was very it was very talked about at the time. I remember that. And I was like, oh, that's a shame.
Yeah, well, because it follows to kind of get into this stuff like the Grant Morrison Batman Incorporated run, because we have a brilliant stuff from Grant Morrison there for a while as well. He kind of returns to
Batman, so
Batman and Son. So I've grown to adore him and have had this conversation with many people, and that's kind of my hill to die on, that Damian Wayne is the best Robin. Like Nightwing is completely different. Dick Grayson is Nightwing to me, but
there's a separation
Damian
there.
is the best Robin because he has been written to grow. Eventually someone let him grow, and then when he winds up getting paired in Super Sons with a modern day Jonathan Kent, that formation and that bond and that juxtaposition, like Jonathan Kent like rubs off on Damian, and you see that happening so much to where Damian eventually starts calling him out on that. You're rubbing off on me. So although he did start out as a whiny little bitch, I just had to kind of throw that in there. Like if you read some of his other stuff, it's so rewarding to see him go from this brat to where he's at now, to where he's still a brat, but he knows he's a brat and he's very self-aware, and they've given him growth in modern days.
No, definitely, and they try and do that with a lot of the characters as well, because the Bat family, like through the years, has grown, has spread, and as you said, some people do get time to shine, some people have the moments, shall we say, but Damien's kind of like one where it's kind of good. Like Dick is, as you said, Dick will always be Dick, and it was great what they did with him, moving him from the Robin to the Nightwing, which is, again, they don't normally do with certain characters, because like with comics and stuff, normally you stay ageless, you don't really age. So to give them that like fluidity to move him forward in that, I think, and become his own hero, and like
he just wanted to be himself. He was tired of dealing with a moody Bruce essentially at this point.
And then you have the people you feel sorry with like Jason Todd is like
Jason Todd.
who now is just one of the most confusing characters in the world with the red hood. It's like, are you a nice guy, you're a good guy, or are you just a dick?
He doesn't even know.
No.
He took one too many lumps to the head and the face, and this is the post-traumatic result of it. He's but I mean, he will stand up to Bruce like nobody's business.
No.
The only thing is, when I read him, I can only hear Jensen Ackles.
Yeah.
I can only hear his voice in my head.
That's such a good movie.
Oh, so good. That's my little thing. Is I've probably seen the DC animated movies probably more than I've seen the actual in real life ones.
No, I'm there with you for a while. Like, it was way better, so I get it.
Yeah.
No, but is there like talking about the comic side of it as well? Because like I say, this bit's getting us a bit too excited. Sorry. Which storyline do you want to see, like from the say from the archives, or even more recent? What do you think would be a good story to tell? I know we've talked about Heart of Ice, but again, that's like say from the anime, but not animated show. Sorry, but from the comics, which storyline would you like to see brought to life, or do you think would do well, shall we say? Because there's some that's very convoluted. Like Hush is good, but it's so complicated to get right.
And they already did that, and they kind of changed it up, which was kind of
no.
As far as like animated movies go.
Yeah, I got upset when they changed that up. Yeah, sorry.
If we're talking like an animated movie, I would really kind of like to see some of the Dark Knight Metal stuff. That I would like to see more like Greg Capullo art come to an animated movie, like the whole Batman Who Laughs and their whole like
the bad flash and stuff like that. Yeah.
Like dealing with stealing the Speed Force, and you've got they're all their cautionary like complementary villains that they have in that. It's all something different. But again, for me, it's little Damian Wayne devil spawns.
Right.
That's what I want to see. But I feel like that does a really good job, and I would like to see more of the Batman Who Laughs. So that's why I think that would be a fun series to have as far as like the animation goes, because it's a lot of I don't know, it's like horror mythology, and it's like heavy metal, and it's like I don't know, it's a dark multiverse, and I feel like that would kind of be neat.
It'll be
for animation.
it'll be a lot for people to take in. But I remember the metal came out. What was it? To me, it feels like 6 months ago, but it was probably about, was it 5, 6 years ago it came out?
It was like it was
It
like
was ju- it was just
2017.
it was
Something
just
like that.
before the pandemic, I think. Hit.
Oh my
Yeah.
god,
years,
I own
yeah.
it.
Yeah.
Is it a black with red cover?
There's
There's
one
a
with
few
the
different
like. There's
ones.
a few one. There's one with like this crown, but it
Yeah,
starts
I
off with
own it. Oh my god, I've never read it though. I own it.
because
Yeah.
the episodes afterwards had like a Batman from a different world, but like had different powers, like Green Lantern's powers, the
Oh
Flash's
yeah, because it was
powers, and
Oh.
it was
the Red Death. Yeah,
yeah,
because
the
then
Red
it was
Death.
like Batman and Doomsday was like Devastator. The Drowned was Bruce Wayne and Aquaman. So it was all these different incorporations of Bruce Wayne, but like in these villain roles of like other superheroes from like the other universe. It's so like Murder Machine. Like it was Batman and Cyborg. Like what the fuck? It's just it was all over the place. It's so bonkers. And there's this kind of corruption of Bruce Wayne a little bit that's in there, which we don't see in a normal mythos because that's what he's fighting against. So, anyways, I think for animated, I'd like to see the Dark Knights, the metal stuff, incorporated into something because doing the samurai stuff. So give me the horror. Get me horror.
Yeah. If they are going to do the animated stuff, to stop changing the endings to them. I know they've got like change it up to try and keep fans happy, but they're making big bold changes. Like I think the only one, like the one that did upset me like a lot was the one, the Killing Joke, the animated
Oh
one.
my god, that was so bad.
Where they had like Barbara pretty much like rape Dick Grayson or
Yeah.
Batman or
Yeah, it
something
was
like
Bruce.
that.
It was Bruce.
That
Yeah,
one?
Bruce.
Yeah.
This
That's
is
what it was.
Bruce. It was Bruce.
No, I'm thinking of Harley.
Yeah.
She's the one that like.
Yeah.
I guess it happens both ways, but yeah.
I was so
very upset.
Yeah.
I was so excited for that to come out because Killing Joke, when I started my comic book journey, Killing Joke was the second book that I read, and I was so excited. I'm a huge Alan Moore fan, and they ruined it. What did they do to my Barbara? That's the second time someone has put their hands on Barbara and made me not like her.
Yeah.
No, I was not amused.
What's the other time?
Alicia Silverstone.
Oh.
I had some choice words for her.
Yeah, that was weird because she wasn't technically Barbara Gordon. She was.
Well, that's how I get around it in my head.
Yeah.
But she called herself Barbara.
And I think that was more like, for fans just to throw that in there. But like, there is like an actual arc where like Alfred's granddaughter does come to live with him. I can't think of her name right now, and she does become like involved in that. And so it was really weird how they like threw everything.
That's fine.
Together.
Just don't.
Yeah,
call
but that was not
Barbara.
Barbara.
No, that's not my Barbara. Yeah, I was so mad, so mad. But not at Alicia Silverstone. I will never not be mad at. Like I can't be. That girl went through far too much at that time anyway. But yeah, I was so upset with that version of Killing Joke. I really thought like. It's one of them times where you're like, oh, Alan Moore was right. Should never have adapted his shit into like. It's like, damn it. Because it's always the case when Alan Moore's stuff comes out, you're always looking for that one that's going to turn it. Like, is that going to turn his head? Is that going to make him go, oh, this is okay? That one was not a good example.
I think, again, similar with a lot of different comics, like sexualizing a character or making them like do certain things that's not with the character or thing for no reason. It was just like, this just feels awkward for me. And again, watching that back, like I think I only give that a one watch. I was like, this is not the Killing Joke I remember. I know that, like the graphic novel was only a short one, but still had more impact. The story I would like probably is not animated but live action. And it probably gets touted around all the time now. The Court of the Owls. I think that is in keeping with everything that's going on with the Bat universe as well, and especially with how the world is at the moment. Not to get political or anything like that, but I think it can feed into how the world is kind of feeling. And I think, like I said, especially like the Scott Snyder like graphics and that run. It was it was a 52 run, wasn't it?
It was a new 52. I've read it. What's Frank's surname? It was Scott Snyder and Frank. Is it Frank, the artist? I can't think of his name.
Oh, I mean, my brain's not gonna.
Capullo?
Oh, Greg Capullo?
Greg, that's it. Why do I keep calling him Frank?
Well, because like Frank quietly did a little bit of Superman and like some stuff for DC as well, and so and there's so many people.
Greg.
Yeah, because Greg Capullo,
Yeah.
because they're actually going to be in Dallas in a couple of weeks.
Oh my God,
Oh.
that's exciting.
There's we'll be doing some panels. I'm very excited for that. But to get to the Court of Owls, I do like that, because the only time we got something like that was very. It
Briefly
was
in
also
Gotham.
animated. It was animated. It was
Yeah.
in the Batman and Robin animated movie, and I remember seeing that and being like, "Fuck yeah, we need more of that." And they alluded to some of that with like Riddler in the Batman, like how he kind of was like exposing some of these like alien undergrounds. And I would like to see Reeves continue something like that. That would be cool.
And if they're going to bring like characters like Dick Grayson as like Nightwing and stuff into this type of universe, and have that kind of like backstory where he was meant to be a Talon as well. Like the word called Talon, like my brain's is frozen at the moment.
No, you're right.
Like that whole like counterpart and like actions, how they've got these assassins that's on ice. It just everything seems like a cool superhero aspect to it, and like also what blends in, like, again, what I kind of like about it, blends into the real world and like the gritty world as well, like the nastiness. But I just think it things, and I know like, say, sorry to jump from one thing to the other, but just when we were talking about before, like with Batman and Superman, the way that got announced at San Diego Comic Con with them reading that dialogue from The Dark Knight, like Frank Miller's Dark Knight, like
It's one of my
Clark,
favorite
and
announcements.
like I still remember like watching the bootleg footage of that, because with us being in the UK, we don't get fun shit like that. I'll be honest with you.
No, we have to watch it through someone's phone and then on YouTube, and times really haven't changed that much because we still do the same now.
Yeah.
And I remember that was born, like, that was chilling. That was like that was such a moment. I can't even remember the guy who read it out as well. His voice was just perfect.
He played one of the army officers in the movie as well. But I know we go to Comic Cons and stuff in the UK, and it's very much different. Taffeta, you have
very much different.
Yeah, so I remember living vicariously through you. I don't know if it was, I remember it was last year or the year before, when you went to Comic Con, and literally your stories give me life each day that you were there. What is it?
San Diego?
Yes, that's the one. That
was last year. That was my first San Diego Comic Con experience, and I don't think I'll ever top that again. That was a whole nother level. That was like fairy tale, like fucking princess type shit. I felt ridiculously taken care of. It was great.
And again, I know we're talking about Batman, but just like about that experience as well, because that is on my bucket list to ever go. One of my friends has been lucky enough. I know probably the price ranges is now, it's probably a lottery win to get there type thing. But as you said, what is that experience like? I know you said you were very well taken up, but is it literally everything that we dream of as nerds?
It can.
Is it the Mecca?
Yes. But I think a different experience than maybe some people go out there for, because like by the time I landed there, like I was getting recognized, which is very weird for me. Like landing in an airport, the whole time I was there, and I don't really like try to brag a whole bunch, but this was really sweet for me, like, because everywhere I went, I met like at least 3 or 4 people who were like, "Oh, I follow you. Can I get a photo?" And I got to meet people, and that was really important to me, because it was people who I've been interacting with for like 10 or 15 years on social media that I've never met in person, and so that was kind of the aspect for me. Like, it was very comic centric, because I got to meet Tom Taylor finally, and Joel Jones, and I got to meet, I got to meet Jill Thompson. I went to the Eisners. Like, it was very comic centric. And no, you don't have to remembering it. Like, I'm stammering because it was just, it was everything that I had been wanting for so long in the comics realm, and I got to finally meet, a lot of people and get a lot of comics signed.
Oh my gosh.
Bruno Redondo, like, I have a whole bunch of Nightwing like prints that I got signed finally by my favorite Nightwing writers ever, who I would never have met in Texas, because they don't come to Texas because they're overseas. So it was that, but paired with, hey, there's this thing going on, come over, don't worry about it, go have fun. And I was like, what the fuck is happening? I felt like goddamn Cinderella.
Oh my God, I would have hugged Jill and never let go.
Yeah.
That would have been a huge problem for me. I would never let go. I love that woman so much.
See, that's always like that gets me excited. But the only problem is, again, the way conventions work in the UK now, it is
So
so movie and TV show centric.
Yeah,
Like,
we have one event.
mm,
We have Thought Bubble.
yeah, which don't really have many like comic book writers or comic book artists, which is a sad thing because in the UK we are huge fans. We've like I don't know
Yeah.
if people think there's not like say like thing. I remember like Dave, I think it's Dave Gibbons who did the artwork for V for Vendetta and stuff. Like I met him, I was like bouncing off the wall, like saying, oh, because he drew us a picture of V. It was like just
Oh,
everything.
cool.
But now it's just like you go to a convention. It's great because there's people from like Red Dwarf there. There's people from this TV show. There's wrestlers, but there's no comic book artists in the UK when it comes to that type of aspect anymore, which is a bit sad. But it is a dream. It is on my bucket list to always get to San Diego. I will get there one day, even if it's like just got to sleep on the street and just like watch out.
I would suggest if you really want to meet comic artists and you don't want to break your budget, go to C2E2. Like
Right.
that is by far the best convention I've ever been to that celebrates comic artists. They've got the celebrities, but comic artists, it's probably at least like 60 rows. And they are front and center because it is a huge event to where if you're not at San Diego, like you're at C2E2. It's not the same
I
weekend.
didn't realize C2E2 was still a thing. I thought that ended.
Yeah, and it's Chicago, so it's a little bit less pricey than California. But that's just a thought, and that's just because the reason why I'm so in love with it is because of the comic artists and the people that bring out are like legends. Like I got to hang out with Kevin McGuire, who I'd never been able to meet before. You know, him and I wound up smoking, you know, in front of the hotel until 2 a.m. talking about, you know, Justice League blowjobs and like all kinds of random stories and and that was me. I was like, well, what about this? It was very much a Mallrats scene about you know, well, the Hulk, how can they do this? And
so you're telling us you're the Brody in this conversation now.
Yes, all the patience. Like that's what I turn into at night. If you ever wanted to know what it's like to hang out with me at a comic convention, like I would be like, all right, so let's talk about this character. And I had been very tired and very ready to go home, but then around the corner, Ben Temple-Smith comes out and Kevin McGuire's there, and then Sean Gordon Murphy's there, and I'm just like, well, all right, we're gonna pretend we're 15 again. And I wore myself.
Ben Temple-Smith's art is just absolutely unreal. It's so beautiful. Oh.
Yeah, absolute. So anyways, just San Diego is something I would encourage everyone to experience because I was encouraged to experience and I did. But for the continuation of supporting artists and like seeing different artists every year, I would continue to go to C2E2 because it's not like 200,000 people or 3,000 or whatever it is, you know.
It's a lot of people.
Whatever the San Diego people populace is compared to C2E2 is different, but I feel like for comics you get more comic stuff. So
we do have one. We have Thought Bubble Festival, which just had some really big names attached to it in the past.
Cool.
Gail Simmons was there last year, I think.
Gail Simmons was there. Jamie McCalvary is always there. Babs Tarr, I've met her a couple of times. She was an absolute delight. Oh, she's something on the eye. Like you can't not stare at her. She is absolutely beautiful.
She's delightful.
Oh gosh, I can't remember what there's so many that I've met.
To be fair though, I'm the nervous one in the corner that doesn't bother talking to everyone because I'm just like, nope, social anxiety, I'll hide from everyone now.
I could not say anything to her. There's one of them who was doing oh god, I can't even remember what book it was now. I want to say it was something very D&D and I'm Fowler or something like that. Anyways, I was so enamored by the fact that I was standing in front of her talking to her and I'm reading her book and I'm so excited. I forgot to pay her for merch. Completely forgot. And she was so polite as well. She could have like screamed at us and chased us down, and it wasn't until I went, I still got the money in my hand. Hang on a minute. And had to go back over and talk to her. Tessa.
Oh, okay, yeah.
You know who I mean? I can't think of it.
I do. I follow an artist named Tessa as well, and she's delightful. I think she's got blonde hair.
that's going to annoy the shit out of us. Keep talking. Talk
No.
amongst
No, I think
yourselves.
that I'm familiar with that name. I think you're right with maybe a Tessa Fowler. I've
So,
seen some banners.
so I think I know what your answer is going to be to this one, but I'll ask it anyway because, like I said, like there was a few things I wanted to ask. So, if someone's listened to this podcast and never picked up a Batman comic at all,
Ooh.
what would you say would be the great starting point, or the one that you would say to always to go first with?
Oh man.
An entry level Batman, shall we say?
Well, because like all the ones that I would suggest, I'm like, well, now you need to read this. Well, before that, there's this.
Yeah.
I would suggest they just go watch Batman the Animated Series.
Right. In fact, no, that is a great suggestion.
Yeah.
If you were wanting to get into Batman, I would start at this age, any age. Go watch a couple episodes of Batman the Animated Series, get a feel for it, and then jump into Batman Year One. And then I would take on some Neil Adams stuff because Neil Adams era is where he really gets gritty. This is like before he became you know, the brooding person he is now. This was, you know, before the Dark Knight, because we were coming out of like a very campy stage. So a couple episodes of Batman animated series, and then jump into a Neil Adams run, and I think you'll be okay from there, because some of those stories aren't arcs. There are a lot of contained stuff, so you can kind of like get those issues. But and then the Jim Lee stuff.
Jim Lee's
Robin,
artwork
Wood-
is just some beautiful, beautiful works. Yeah.
like his run with Miller, I think that would be good. I think the Dark Knight would probably be just after you've probably
Bedded in a bit.
yes.
Yeah, I didn't do that. I went from Killing Joke straight into probably my favorite Batman book of all time, which is Arkham Asylum, which messed me up. I didn't know comics could do that. I didn't realize that that's what it could do. And then I went into Frank Miller's Batman, and I'm like, I just took jump after jump after jump, and then I just go to Paul, give me another one. And he just shoots a name at us, and I'm in it straight away. Yeah, Arkham Asylum is one of my favorite books of all time. I have owned that digitally for years, and only picked up last Free Comic Book Day my first actual copy of it.
Oh wow, okay, yeah.
I love it.
Yeah, I do like Killer Croc's run and some of that. If I'm thinking right, it's been a while since I've read that one.
It has been for me, but I just remember it always stuck with me. How beautiful, how weird it was, how we shouldn't be reading books where I'm having to spiral them around because it was so unusual for us. I'd literally only read a couple of books before I got into that, so I was like, this isn't right, this is weird, who is this person now? Like, he is my spirit animal. I love Grant Morrison so much.
Yeah.
Yes. No, thank you. I think that'll be
What about you?
Me. I always say the same thing. I always say that if you want to get a feel of what Batman is, or how to, if you're going to love Batman, is the Long Halloween. I love the artwork. It's I had the original comics a while ago. Like I said, I don't have them in possession anymore because I had to sell them. But like the graphic novel and just like the intertwining story and how you get to find each character, and if you start like kind of like it's one where you actually fall in love with the Batman, shall we say? And I think it's the basis what a lot of the movies, like I know the Nolan's ones, you can probably subtract certain aspects to like that storyline in there, and also in the Batman with Robert Pattinson, even though it's like Batman Year One, there's still a lot of like the Long Halloween feels to aspects. So I think it's kind of like the other one would the other one is probably if you want
all in there.
if you want to again want to read a
have
fun Batman that's just hilarious, is just Hush. I think Hush
I loved Hush
is just, that's why again when they messed up the ending towards it in the animated cartoon, but the comic is just so much fun. It's like if you want to go on a ride and just literally go, it's like Batman murder mystery. It's just absolutely hilarious.
It's a really nice throwback to his origins of being like a true detective, plus all the villains and stuff, you know, like all the various villains that we get from that.
You've got me kind of like amped up, like you've kind of like it's been such a long time that I've had, like, I know I do the Marvel watch along, and it's great to talk about the Marvel comics, but there's I probably read more Batman than I have ever read, or even indie comics, Image comics. Like, they are the comics that I used to read, and I'm like, oh, I really miss that. Like, I really miss that side of it. I feel like I want to go back and just go and have a look at everything that I've
Fuck
like.
yeah.
Yeah. Oh,
But I think
I miss it.
but I think with Batman as well, and I think this would be a nice like a way just to end it as well. It's basically, I think, as comics wise or like the character wise, it's the most relatable like superhero out there. It is the one where it has the more layers. It has the more like interesting bad guys as well. There's so many jumping in points where you can jump in and just enjoy Batman. You can either go back all the way to the start where it's like I said, corny, wacky, funny. It's literally got a character for everyone. Like that's where like Superman's great, but a lot of people do find it hard to relate to Superman because it's a perfect figure. It's a character that is almost too perfect in ways, so it's like kind of like, oh, I don't relate to that character because how can anyone be so wonderful and amazing and unstoppable? Where Batman has his
Well,
flaws.
it's hard, but we try.
Batman has his flaws. He has his weaknesses. He has his humanity, and again, I think that's why people always will go back to Batman and always like kind of have that shining hope when there's news of a new Batman or a new thing. It gets that excitement levels up, and like even when they bring a new comic out, the different tales. Like the last one I read was probably like it was a few years ago, was probably the one where they start leading up towards Bruce and Selina's wedding, and that went all weird. But then like say it was the Riddler
Gotta
Wars, was
love
it?
Tom King.
Yeah, Tom King's storytelling. I think he was like stopped off before it was going somewhere interesting. But again, um, but all different aspects to it. You can go leave Batman, you can go in. There's now like Gotham by Gaslight. There's the Samurai Batman. There's like different aspects of Batman that keeps on coming out, and people will keep going to it. And there's something that draws you to it because I think it's the human side to it as well. But again, that's just my humble opinion.
No, Gotham by Gaslight is absolutely one that I think is fun. It's a short read. It's Mike Mignola going out there doing like his art, and
Steampunking, yeah.
and it's perfect and it's so interesting. And I think the animated movie did a good job following that.
Yes,
That's
no,
awesome.
no, cool. So while we're wrapping up as well, because I know you are the busiest lady in nerdism. So
oh no, this has been delightful. Thank you.
Yep. So tell us what you've got up to coming up soon. Tell us a few things that we can catch you like on your socials and stuff like that.
I do my Monday night gaming every Monday at 9 p.m. Central Time at twitch.tv/Taffeta Darling. That's pretty much where I get to actually engage and relax and have some fun with the community. So if you guys are free, just come hang out or lurk, put me on in the background. It still helps promote me and support me. You can even mute me if you don't like listening to my voice and you just want to look at me. I get that people do that. Trust me.
I can listen to you all day, to be honest.
Thank you. I have Texas Frightmare Weekend next weekend. Although I'm not moderating any panels, I've got some people that I'm meeting out there, and I'll be working, doing other stuff. So I'm excited for that. I've got Fan Expo the following weekend, and I'm super excited for that because this is one of the biggest comic lineups that we've had. They keep getting bigger. And I have a lot of friends who are coming to town, and I do the panels. I moderate the comics panels, so I'll be doing that. Next month is Big Texas Terror, which is a kind of a subsidiary of Big Texas Comic Con that I work at the end of the year. So they've decided to branch out, rightfully so, with a first year horror show. And so I'll be down there in June doing that. And then, yeah, so that's the next few weeks.
Cool. Be interesting to see some pictures for the horror one. I know because Sammy was doing a horror podcast. She might, if you've got time, to ask you a few questions about that as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you guys are delightful. I love chatting with y'all. Like, I can chat about this shit all day long. So thank you for letting me.
I can listen to it. Sorry.
Yes. But yes. So this will go out on Sunday. I'm trying to think what day it is. So tomorrow there is no Monsters because Sammy and Dan is taking a day off. But next week Monsters is back.
Yes.
And you're doing Ghost Ship. Is that right?
That is right, yeah.
I love that movie. That's so underrated. That opening scene is so fucking brutal.
It's the only thing I know about that movie so far. Yes, due to unforeseen circumstances, we had to cancel this week's episode, but we are back next week with Ghost Ship. It'll be fun. It'll be interesting. We have covered some movies that are along the same lines, production-wise, so it'll be interesting to see the difference.
And,
Fun.
next Sunday, we are finishing off our guest month. We have the lovely Kelly from the Game of Thrones Historians. She is coming to talk.
We love her.
Yeah,
We love Kelly.
She's come. We're changing up a little bit. We're not talking Game of Thrones with her. We're talking the Hunger Games. So
I am going to absolutely. I'm going to take over that episode. I have a lot to say. He hasn't read the last book.
No.
It's gonna get messy. I'm just putting it out there.
I love it.
Certainly. And we've got a lot of other shows. I think Top Grumps are doing Itchney by Itchney the serial killer. I probably butchered that. We have Anime Club for Anime Friday next week. That's come out. We've had the Women of Nerd Culture that released an episode on Saturday morning just gone, where they've talked about their love and their things of General Lear. So
there will be a Marvel episode out on Saturday.
Right, okay.
I am recording that on Tuesday, and we are Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2.
So a lot of things, a lot of content. Like, join us on our channel. If you like us, give us a like. If you don't, tell us you don't like us. We're gonna have a conversation. It'll be fine. But just to say a big thank you to Taffeta. Like, say thank you for everything that she does for us. I know, like, say it's only little thing. It feels like little things, but it means the world to us.
It does.
And like I say, it's great to have, like I say, such a nice friend. Yes.
Thank you for being a friend.
I'm super happy to help. I love seeing y'all get to do all those things overseas. It's so great. Anything I can help or give or pass along. When one of us shines, all of us shine.
That's great.
Oh,
that's my favorite quote. Like, like I'm not going to go anywhere and leave anybody behind. If I can bring everybody with me, I absolutely will. If I get something that I think someone else will like, it's yours. That's
2 weeks in a row we've had the same message. We're all in this
community.
together.
It's community. Like, I'm not here to be better than anybody else. I'm here to be my best person, and no one is my competition. We are just out here doing and enjoying the same shit. So I'm absolutely happy to help you.
Oh, bless you.
Love it.
So yes, so to end the one, this is probably the first time that my actually saying does actually make sense. So same bat time, same bat channel.
Stay nerdy, everyone. Bye.
Thank y'all.